what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Moss Nissan in Newport Richey, and guess what? We have that midsize sedan that got a lot of attention when we were at the LA Auto Show just a few weeks ago. This is it. This is your refresh, updated, changed up, switched up 2023 Nissan Altima. This particular one is the sporty SR trim. But before we get into this mid-size sedan that's been changed through, let's talk about what's going on here. Nissan, they're trying to get through their lineup and make the right changes to really get back to where they were in the late 80s and 1990s. They really were a Japanese superstar auto manufacturer. Over the years, things got a little bit of a change. Obviously, a lot of things going on with their CEO and whatnot. And then now they're going through their lineup. Obviously, they brought out the Aria, their first electric SUV, fully electric SUV. They brought the redesign on the Nissan Z, the Pathfinder, made some changes to the Versa. Well, guess what? It's now the Altima's turn. This being that mid-size sedan goes up against some pretty big players. You got the Hyundai Sonata, you got the Kia K5, the Honda Accord, and then of course that long-standing Toyota Camry. But what I want to find out is Nissan onto something when it comes with the Altima? Did they change enough to really make it viable for you to really want to crave to have one? Let's go ahead, let's dive into this 2023 Altima SR and find out, is it the better mid-size sedan than the mighty Toyota Camry? Let's go ahead, dive in and find out. Right off the bat, the color. This midnight metallic blue absolutely sparkles like a blue diamond in the Florida sun. Starting at the front of the business, we got the changes. Just like we showed you from the LA Auto Show, you're gonna have a little bit of a change up on the headlight housing, everything blacked out on the interior, LED daytime running lamps, LED turn signals, and that LED projector beam headlight. Now, working your way down, we see some of the changes. You're gonna have this new corner area. I like the way it looks. The thing I'm gonna have to zonk, non-functional vents. They could have made this air curtain. They could have even taken some LED fog lamps and kind of filled up this area. So that definitely is the zonk. But one thing I do like is I am digging the way that they went with the gloss black to match the rest of the gloss black on the front of the vehicle. And I do like the way it's angled, especially on this lower portion, but boy, oh boy, some functionality would have went a long way. Now, as we come across that V motion grille, you see that V shape to it. On the SR trim, of course, you're gonna get the new updated SR badge. Once upon a time, SR used to really bring some extra performance, but unfortunately, unless you get the turbocharged engine, not too much of that connection with the past, but you do have the updated Nissan badge, gloss black on your new grille, which matches those vents on the corners, the fake vents on the corners. This, though, is fully functional. And on the SR trim, what I'm really digging is the black chrome. I'm glad that they went with the darker chrome finish to kind of make that whole cohesive design. I wish they would have used some of that on those vents on the corners. But other than that, I am digging the change that they made to the front of the vehicle. Now, when we move on to that long, low-slung hood, everything is gonna remain the same. So if you have, say, a 2020 Altima, same exact hood, but you'll see that V motion flies up onto the hood and then coasts cleanly to the windshield. Now, as we come around the bend, of course, if we have changes at the front, we're gonna have some changes when it comes to wheel and tires. So these are the new redesigned wheels for the SR trim. Love the gloss black, machined aluminum. I'm actually digging how they did the machined aluminum. You know, and a lot of other Nissan products, they like to really go crazy with that silver finish, but I like the way they kept it paper thin, and then they even have the SR badge embossed on the wheel. So that's a nice little touch to let you know that this is a specific SR spec Altima. Now, you can get your Altima front-wheel drive, like ours is, or all-wheel drive, and then, like I said a few seconds ago, you could have your two different engine options as well. And when you're looking at the Camry, Camry has not had any major changes for a couple years. They did some stuff with the headlights. You do get your two engine options though on the Camry, and they do have an all-wheel drive option. So very, very close comparing this to the Camry. But if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel? This is a 19-inch wheel, so it's nice that they give you a good size wheel. You're looking at 235 on the width, 40 series sidewall, and they did retune the suspension to give it a sportier feel. So we'll take it for an on-throttle spin to find out. Coming down the side, that nice metallic blue finish looks great on it. You do have your gloss black on your mirror caps on the SR trim. And one thing that they did that is great is that they kept the black up top. The one thing I gotta zonk is the bright, shiny metalwork. This should definitely be that dark chrome like on the V-Motion grille, at least on the SR trim. Color matched on the door handles. And one thing a lot of people miss is actually the indentation. There's a body line here that actually flows from the doors up front to the bottom of the doors on the front and rear passengers. So gives it a nice little extra kind of depth of design. That low slope roof with the floating roof design. The Altima back in 2019 was the first to have this floating roof design. So by taking the gloss black, splitting up the pillar, it gives that floating roof like it's separated. But as we come down the side, nice sleek into the trunk area, we wrap it around the back, and I like what they did with the badges. Instead of having shiny chrome on the SR, we have this gunmetal gray finish, that Altima name, with our taillight design still looking clean. The new Nissan badge SR trim gets this trunklet spoiler, and I kind of like the way it extends back rather than up. Gives it a nice look with the Nissan badge, and they actually carve the spoiler around the Nissan badge. SR just like up front. The other thing I'm gonna zonk, and this is an option, is this chrome bumper trim. This should be dark chrome if they have an option for it. Not really digging it. But as we drop all the way down, they did finish off the lower bumper almost an A+. I'll show you where they went with a zonk. So this top section here on the lower bumper, that's a zonk. I don't know why they do this fake vent design. If you would have just brought the diffuser up to the blue, it would look super clean, but I do like the way that they have a nice slash cut stainless steel tip on both sides, not just on one, but on both sides, and a simulated rear diffuser. Definitely gives it a sporty vibe from the back of the vehicle. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood on this Altima SR and see what's powering it. All right, guys, we got the hood popped open. You do have a prop rod, but you know what? All the other competitors, the Accord, the Camry, the Sonata, the K5, they all have prop rods as well. Underneath the hood, what you're gonna find is one of two different engine options. Now, if we're comparing this to the Camry, with the Camry, you could get a naturally aspirated inline 4 or a naturally aspirated V6. It's actually the only mid-size sedan that offers a V6 of any type. This is the naturally aspirated inline 4. You could also get the variable compression turbocharged engine as well if you want more power. But what do we got going on? First of all, no engine cover. So you're gonna see all the tubes, the wires, the connectors. This is what a contemporary engine looks like underneath the hood. That's why they put those covers over everything. But what do we got? We got a 2.5 liter inline 4 producing 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. It is mated to a CVT, and that's gonna be the weak link in the chain. 0 to 60, 7.4 seconds. Top speed is governed to 119 miles per hour. MPGs, not too shabby. 28 in the city, 39 on the highway. The vehicle weighs 3,300 pounds. And what I do like with the Nissan Altima is you could actually have the standard engine be all-wheel drive or the turbocharged engine be all-wheel drive. Unlike the Camry, where with the Camry, it's just the base engine, the 4-cylinder where you could have all-wheel drive, not on the V6, which doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of cuckoo. But why don't we go ahead, let's start up this Altima. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Nissan Altima SR. There's some changes on the outside. Well, guess what? The good news is there's some changes on the inside as well. But I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm looking for a midsize sedan. I don't want a damn SUV. Everybody and their mother has one. I want a sedan. How much is this one? So this one, being an SR with the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated inline four, putting out 188 horsepower, you're looking at MSRP right around $32,000. Let's see what you get for the money and what are the changes to the door panels. I actually am digging what Nissan has done. Nice soft touch material up top. You'll notice in the dark triangle right at the corner of the window, they put the blind spot monitoring light right on the interior rather than the exterior. I think that makes it easy to see. You got the silver trim, new stitching. The orange with the white really pops nicely. Super soft armrest. There is some gloss black on the switchgear, which I am gonna have to zonk that. Door pocket is also on the tighter side. So maybe I would say 2 hot dogs from Costco and a nice large soda to wash it down. That is gonna help you maintain those prices. Because remember, hot dogs have been $1.85 at Costco since 1985. Now going from the door panel to the dash, here are some of the changes. You have this faux carbon fiber trim. It's not too bad. I would have liked something a little different, but I get it. They're trying to be sporty. Looks close to carbon fiber, but not 100%. You do have some silver trim on the bottom portion of it. And then the new big talking point is smack dab in the center. That's a 12.3 infotainment system screen. Obviously, you got your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, full touchscreen capability. I like the way it's got the different screen options. You could do your swiping features to set up all the different icons you could add. Real simple just by doing that. Obviously, it tells you where it's been added. And then you go right back to home. Yes. And then you're right back to where we started. So I really didn't want to save anything, but I did want to show you how you could go into finding the cheapest gas. And as you can see, once you get rolling with it, it's actually pretty quick reacting. Throw it into reverse. Backup camera, I would love the image to be a little bit larger. Resolution, I give it a 6 out of 10. Would be nice to have a little bit clearer resolution, but you do have nice trajectory, which is great. And then you throw it right back in the park, you're back where you started. Working your way down, you got your AC vents, a little bit more of that faux carbon fiber, and then you're gonna have your standard AC controls. We got our blower fan knob, you have your temperature knob. I do like the way they have almost like a metal finish to it. Even though it's plastic, it still feels really nice, has a nice tactile touch to it. 2 stages of heated seats, no ventilated seats at this price point, and I'm okay with that. You do get a USB-C, USB-A, a 12 volt, and wireless charging. This is gonna control that CVT transmission. I wish they would put the 9-speed automatic in this thing. You do get some more nice stitching. 2 cup holders, still the same key fob. I wonder why they're choosing some 2023 vehicles to have the new key fob, and this has the same key fob that basically Fred Flintstone used on his cars back in the day. So interesting that they did that. You do have a nice area here for some Jolly Ranchers. You could easily put, I would say, about 9 or 10 Jolly Ranchers in this little cup holder here, or I should say Jolly Rancher holder. Duh, cup holders are here. Look at how they did the stitching though. It shows some attention to detail, even on the armrest. All that nice stitching really goes a long way. Open this bad boy up. You could easily put, I would say, maybe 3 of the medium-sized Transformers. So maybe like a Bumblebee, Optimus Prime without the trailer, obviously. And I think Starscream is not going to fit. So you're going to have to go through your collection and be choosy because you can only choose 3. And you can't even pick your top 3 because there's only so much space. Seats. Love the soft material. The stitching is great. Even on the sides, they did a good job. You do have, of course, your power seat controls, easy to get to for the passenger and the driver. And we do have a standard size sunroof, which is really nice. I just wish they would have went with a dark headliner. That definitely is a zonk. Dark headliner would kind of match what the heck is going on in here a little bit better. But why don't you come over here? I got a flat bottom steering wheel I want to show you in this Altima SR. All right, guys, here we are. Business time behind the wheel. You do have your power seat settings just like on the passenger side. Nice to get within fingertip reach. I'm 6 feet tall, and that's the one thing about the Altima that I've always liked is you get plenty of room, definitely up front. We'll see what you get in the back seat area. Steering wheel is on the sportier side for a car like this. Flat bottom, you got the nice orange stitching, which is consistent throughout the car. The updated Nissan badge, flat black on all the buttons, which is a nice touch. And you do have paddles to go through simulated gears in your CVT. And it is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then you have your dash. You have a large 7-inch display in the center there that I could actually scroll through a cornucopia of information. And then the rest is going to be analog. What I do like is look at how they did the stitching on the hood. It shows the attention to detail. We do a lot of different brands, obviously, some of them way more expensive than this car, and they don't even have consistent stitching. So nice to see that. It's the little things. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see if you could fit some bigger things in that area in this Altima. All right, guys, back seat time. And the good news is, just like the Camry, just like the other competitors in this mid-size class, there's plenty of room back here. I think the Camry might have a little bit more room, but I am loving the seats. This is a place that if you need to make out with somebody, you're not gonna mind doing it in the back seat of an Altima. Now, the back of the actual seats, all soft material. You don't get a pocket behind the driver, which is a little bit of a bummer. So if you have any sharp objects, daggers, swords, knives, you're gonna wanna sit behind the passenger, because if you don't, you're gonna have to put those sharp objects right in between your legs, and that may stop you from having children for the rest of your life. Just saying. Back area though, you do get connectivity, which is nice. You get a USB-C and a USB-A. So they got you covered there. I have my own pocket. I don't like really carrying sharp objects, but what I would put back here is maybe my Game Boy and my Game Boy game case with all the little cartridges, because you can only play Tetris for so long, and I like to change it out. But sitting back here, like I said, nice and comfy. You get a Super Charmin approved armrest. This is like a quadruple ply softness to it, 2 cup holders, and I like the way they did the same seat design on the rear seats with the stitching as they did on the front seats. Attention to detail, guys. Call up the other auto manufacturers and demand attention to detail. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the trunk and see what kind of junk we could put in this Altima. All right, guys, time to get in the trunk. And what I love is that Nissan is not giving up on sedans, because there's still a great way to do your driving. Because remember, compared to an SUV, center of gravity is way lower. But let's go ahead and pop the trunk. Real simple, you just hit the button, lift it up, and you're gonna be greeted to 15 cubic feet of space. I do like the way they engineered the handles up top so that you could do the 60-40 split with the rear seats. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's that extra thing here? What is this big old thing? This is actually an optional cargo tray where you could put supplies. You get a nice little emergency roadside kit, first aid kit in case somebody, you know, is peeling an apple in the back seat and you hit a bump or one of those Michigan potholes and they cut their thumb off. You could get the bandages out. And then you'll also notice these smart hooks. Think about it. You go shopping, you got all those cans of Campbell's soup. You don't want them rolling around. You can hang your grocery bags nicely there. And then we'll move this out of the way, and you'll notice that you do get a spare. So that's another nice touch that a lot of brands are getting rid of spares to cut back on money, to cut back on weight. But why don't we go ahead? It's time to put the rubber out there on the road. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go on throttle in our Altima SR. All right, guys, we left Moss Nissan. We're in this 2023 Nissan Altima SR. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna put it in sport mode by hitting the button on the back of the shifter. You get a little tiny S that lights up next to D, and we're gonna go on throttle real quick to show you the acceleration. On throttle, here we go. So they do a pretty good job of the simulated shifts as you're going up through the rev range, so you don't get that major loud drone that you sometimes get with CVT equipped vehicles. It actually is quite responsive for a 2.5 liter inline 4. So because it is naturally aspirated, you're gonna get a little bit more low down torque when you get off the line, and it pulls nicely through the rev range for this type of vehicle. Now, you're not gonna win any drag races against any, you know, Hellcats or anything like that, but it is a pretty responsive engine. Like I said, it would be great to see this car with a traditional torque converter automatic transmission. But if you like a car that has a little bit lighter steering feel, this seems to have a little bit lighter steering than, say, even a Toyota Camry or definitely a Honda Accord. But it rides really nice, and you can start to feel some of that sporty tuning that they've done to the suspension and the shock absorbers compared to your other trim Altimas in the lineup. Cabin is pretty quiet for the most part. No, you know, creaks or rattles, and these zero gravity seats are comfortable without being too squishy. Nobody wants to sit on a beanbag chair while they're driving. But as you can see, nice and smooth. And I'm really digging the new infotainment system. I like the way that instead of going like a 9-inch or a 10-inch, they decided to just go all in and go with the 12.3. Still, your standard infotainment system screen is the 8-inch display, but let's go ahead and go on throttle. This time I'm gonna use the paddles on the back of the steering wheel to go through the gears. But if you're ready, I'm ready. Or simulated gears. On throttle, here we go. So you do get a little bit of a gear indicator at the bottom of the screen to let you know what simulated gear you're in. Right now I'm in third. Drop it down to second. So it is nice to have that flexibility that if you want to use the paddles to have that little bit more kind of engaged driving experience, you could do that, or you could just go right back to using it perfectly set up in automatic mode. And then you'll see when you hit that button on the back of the shifter from sport to non-sport, it actually raises the revs. So right now we're in drive. We're turning about, I would say, 1,700 RPM. Hit the S. Now the revs are about 2,200 RPM. So it gives you a little bit quicker response when you go on throttle. But overall, I think it's, you know, still at this price point, and definitely that the changes that they made to the interior and the exterior is still a viable option for many people. It's going to be interesting to see what they do when they go full redesign on this Altima. We're going to get out onto this highway here, show you how we merge. On throttle, here we go. So you definitely have just enough power to get out of your own way, to get in line and get on the highway, but very, very smooth driving. Like I said, I think the biggest hang up is going to be that CVT, especially if you go with the turbocharged engine. The turbocharged engine is really handicapped by the CVT transmission. But other than that, I am digging some of the changes that they made to this 2023 Altima SR. We're going to get back to Moss Nissan and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. Guys, it's been another great day here at Moss Nissan. I definitely got to thank the whole crew, David Moss Jr., Christian, the whole gang, getting us access to their very first 2023 Altima SR. Let me know what you think. Has Nissan kind of fine-tuned their midsize sedan to make it that standout compared to the Camry? Or are you just rushing towards Toyota because of their reputation over the years for building a very reliable vehicle, very dependable vehicle? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radies Rides family. We got to give it up to Stephen Flood, Stephen Flood Photography. Follow him on Instagram. Thank you, Stephen, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.